so confused.
I never
Get here, everybody.
Y'all, they just never
Marshall, hang on, please.
Hold on, guys. Who was speaking first? Because I don't even know where conversations are going. Okay, Tara and then Moose. You can really.
No, I think Tara Marshall is going to respond, and Royal's been waiting as well.
Okay, Moose, you want to run the queue? Because I'm like, I'm not holding my phone. You do a great job at it.
Just what I was going to say was like, my family never had that much wealth.
I mean,
Maybe what I do, my family never actually had that much money. The point I am making, and the point that I think is important, and the point that is for public assistance, is that public assistance was never meant to be a permanent thing. Jeremy, wonderfully enough, provided a great avenue for this, which is if you can structure society in a way where people can't afford to live, then you end up having to deal with it. Right? My point is more, should it be permanent or should it not be permanent? And if it should be permanent, why should it be permanent? And where do we continue to derive those dollars? Well, granted, I think there's a lot of that comes from how we diagnose wealth. But one of the most important things is in how we get wealth from other people to contribute to social systems, right? And for me, that big thing is that there are people who have money that are have to contribute when they didn't think they would have to. But the critical point is, should social assistance be permanent or should social assistance be temporary? And if it should be temporary, how temporary should it actually be?
Can I get any from the right now?
Real quick, because Tara was, she was actually supposed to talk before Marshall. Marshall took the mic back. Go ahead, Tara.
But can someone check the chat? Somebody's just being too ignorant that don't.
All right, I'll check it. Thank you.
I won't take long, but I just want us to get into a space where Marshall, we are being productive in the conversation about thinking about if you want to think about the system and how to get people in a position where they are more independent, where they are able to have more financial freedom from their subsidies, you may want to think about what has historically taken you to this point. What is continuing to move wealth in one direction and not in the other direction? I think it would be to look into how many subsidies have been given to the class that was able to get land and enslavement rights, and then also to continue to profiteer in that way. It would be helpful for you to understand how much that has been subsidized for a particular class of people in society. I think it's also helpful to start to understand how this has been compounding generation after generation. And then I think it would be also pretty helpful to understand how those things continue to create disparity. Would that be helpful?
You going, Roy?
They stepped away. Go ahead, Roy. No, after 10 minutes, everybody already said I was going to say, so it's not the same.
So, Marshall, I would just answer, you answered your own question. I don't even know how you can, it should be temporary, but the problem is, I don't know why you would even ask that question when you yourself, it's needed because unfortunately the structure of society keeps people in poverty. So you can't answer that question faithfully. It should be temporary, yeah, but the problem is it can't be temporary because of the bullshit that happens right here, who's going?
The oppression isn't temporary, so why should the penance or benefits be temporary?
Exactly. Because it's you said it more simply.
So I agree, but your financial situation changes.
No, this is what I wanted to say.
This is Miss Lisa speaking. Hello, everybody.
How you doing, Cecil?
Like I say, if the oppression isn't temporary, then why should the benefits be temporary? I'm not really into the looting part, and you going to take stuff because they owe me this. Well, I think we've all become very spoiled and Americanized. We used to farm. We used to farm and grow our own food and eat from our land and eat enough just to sustain our households. We had the barter system going. If I needed something, I can go to my neighbor's house and say, well, I need some eggs. You got some tomatoes, or I got tomatoes. You need eggs, or I have an old car in the back that I got some parts on this car, but I need a vacuum. I'll trade you some parts for my car for a vacuum. See, these are the things that we used to do, and we come so lazy and so push the button and it happened now that we have forgotten how to survive just on a basic level, right? Just on a basic level. I'm trying to learn how to grow strawberries and wild berries and blueberries and blackberries and bananas, and I'm trying to learn how to grow these things. So what I said this all to say, stop waiting for them to do things for you and take your minds back. Take your minds back. One can learn how to. I don't eat meat, and that's because my body rejects it. It's nothing that oh no, meat is bad. No, my body just doesn't want it. But I eat fish, right? So I want to learn how to like grow fish, like raise fish for food, and that's how we used to do it. So I'm just saying this all to say, get your minds back and get your strength back and take your power back and become a powerful person to yourself, not to the system, but to yourself, right? So let's go back to those days where we survived on our own.
Miss
Hold
I'm sorry, hold on, let me just jump in, hold on.
Okay.
This all sounds so good in theory. I live in New York. Even if I stay with my parents in California, they own a home in California. There's not enough space. And first of all, to grow fish, it is absolutely impossible. Fish have to have the right oxygen to water content, be able to move around. There's certain criteria that have to be met for them to even spawn, and then another fish to actually come and fertilize it. So we cannot get romanticized up into that. Do you know how big a banana tree is? Do you know how much water it takes to grow bananas? We really have to start micro gardening and everything. Let's sit down and have a conversation, because we can micro garden. We can grow herbs and stuff on the wall. They're starting to do that in New York. A lot of people are doing growing herbs and stuff, but you fucking can't grow no corn on the wall, and you can't grow any potatoes on the wall. There are only certain things you can do in those wall gardens. But if we have people who can qualify it, or you can do this and I can do that, we can't have chickens. We can't have a cow walking down the street. We can't have goat for goat milk. We can't have pigs. So if we're talking about all getting together and going to buy us some land, some actual land, acres of land, and start our own town, own little cities, I can see that happening. But people living in houses, people living in what do they call those things?
Yeah, but it could be different though. It doesn't have to be water for food. It could be services, right?
That too, you guys. But okay, go ahead. I'm writing things down.
I'm just saying, say you're a barber, and whatever the case may be, someone is a mechanic, what it is, you know what I mean? Like you work with them, you use your network for what you have.
I get that. Patient. I'm not slow on the uptake. I know I can barter. I know I can barter for this. I'm not worried about getting my hair done if I'm at this point in time when I'm trying to grow my food. But I understand that. But what I'm saying to everybody, you guys got it. If you got a way to start doing this, go ahead, do the test
discrimination, and that's what it is.
So when I'm talking about, what can I just say this? Gemini is a perfect example of a taste kitchen because Gemini has the land to be talking this shit. And I hope I'm not telling your business, Gemini. I hope to God. But somebody like him walking up to me saying some shit like this, I'm down 100%. I know because I know that we can get some of this done. But if my motherfucking neighbor come over here one more time talking about you growing tomatoes and I grow, it's like, bitch, where are we growing tomatoes? Tomatoes grow on a vine. She didn't even know tomatoes grew on a fucking vine. I guess she thought they grew on a little bush. I don't know. So they gotta spread out. They have to have the right. I'll leave it at that because you guys think I'm a Debbie Downer. But
Not on the dead. Get off the dead.
oh yeah, Karen. But it's just. We gonna make our own cheese. We gonna make our own. It's like this. Where we gonna get this? How we gonna be churning cheese?
Well, who the fuck are you calling a bitch, ho? Who the fuck are you calling a bitch?
Are you serious right now?
You just said, bitch, we gonna make our tea. I'm the one that makes the city.
Child, because my neighbor asked me this dumb shit every morning, and I was like, "Bitch, where are we going?" It's nowhere in the world we churning. You get what I'm saying? Where am I going? Are we going down to the garage to churn the milk and stuff? I'm 100% down with y'all, but y'all gotta give me a little bit more. You gotta give me a
See, here's the irony, right?
motivating.
Churning butter looks like. Here's the irony is that if you're eating like free range organic eggs, you're either rich as fuck or poor as fuck. Like that's just the reality. Either you're living out in like the boondocks and you got a whole bunch of chickens running wild and that's like a major source of your protein for free, or you're rich as fuck and you go to the super wealthy organic fucking grocery store in the middle of Manhattan to get your farm fresh free range eggs. Like that's the scenario.
So I was gonna back up to Marshall's question real quick. Like I know,
It was in the goo. Y'all send me some pictures of your ass in the garage churning cheese. Y'all ain't gonna play with me all night. I would have said,
Not cheese. Wait, I just want to let y'all know Trump and Xi are holding hands together, and Xi is looking out into the atmosphere, and he's like, "God, why am I here?"
No,
Bro, I've been trying to talk for a minute.
So Marsha's question.
You can hear me? Hello?
So Marsha's question.
No, boy, we're gonna be disrespectful.
So,
why am I getting you? I first talking first.
Hey,
Who's speaking?
This is a bullshit.
So,
You guys are getting what here to you. What are you doing?
Come on, we got one mic. Come on, y'all. Come on. It's one question.
Go ahead. I guess I joined
What's
first.
happening?
I don't know.
Yes. So Marsha's question is an example of, while not stupid, is an example of what America is made of. So the problem is we only have that question because of the structure. It's, somebody was saying it. It's one of the things I wanted to say. But going to the question itself, amongst many other questions like this, these questions only arise because we have a certain mindset. We think, right, that people are bad because they receive public assistance. That's what the question stems from. No, Marshall. I don't think you stems from Marshall. Hold on. Marshall.
Place of that attribution.
You don't go ahead and give me your rebuttal, sir. Yeah, it's not a step against you. I just said this is an American thinking. because these type of questions, not just the one you ask, but many questions like this arise all the time because we've been taught to think like this. Okay, instead of the fact that, oh shit, this person needs food, and it does whatever it takes to get this person food. Let's get them food. Let's get them the assistance they need. Let's get them the utilities that they need. It doesn't matter how long it takes. Who cares about that? Let's just make sure this person is stabilized. That is how this social society should be thinking. But instead, right, we got this weird thing where it's like, okay, you gotta pull yourself up by your bootstraps. I'm gonna make a hard ass system for you to navigate, right? And if you don't navigate it right, then it's not only your fault, but you're a bum. You're a sucker. You don't deserve shit. What's wrong with you? That is what this society is built on. So again, Marshall, this is not about you. It's about the type of question that is asked amongst Americans. And then I had to think about this like some time ago, and I realized, yo, this questioning, this type of questioning, is built into our society, and it's terrible.
Royal, like all due respect, no disrespect. What the fuck are you talking about?
What am I talking about?
Actually, don't get to the that claiming social assistance was bad. I simply asked the question with the predisposition as to whether it should be short term or long term, as to whether a family from, say, 1990 should still be using public assistance.
No.
That's a very fair answer, right? Which is what I thought, which is what makes me think we could probably do better to help folks get jobs. Now, I'm sure that involves more than like state allocation of job funding. We call it Texas Job Force down here.
But the white men even saying they can't get a job. How do people that are already poor go get a job to be able to pay? I'm just saying.
They have all those free trainings, right? But now with automation, those same fucking thing they trained before, they get laid off for anyway. So what happens then?
I'm not sure. I don't think that a universal basic income is the way to do it. We have to rearrange our finances the way we currently spend in a massive fashion to afford for that. My point was more whether that should be permanent or impermanent. It's not a values question as to those who receive it. If you need the assistance, you need the assistance. I'm not here to say you don't. I'm not here to say you shouldn't have it. If you can't make ends meet at the end of the month, and SNAP is what's going to help that alignment, then get SNAP. I'm here for you. In fact, if I give money out of my salary to help you be stable, I would be happy to.
Marshall, you understand?
Go ahead, Jimmy.
I'm sorry, but you understand that, like, what we're talking about here is that the reason why we have generations and generations of people who are stuck in poverty without any reasonable way to get out of it, right? While we see the wealthy, like just accelerating their wealth with their privilege and their access to the things that help them continue that wealth. Right, like you have other examples of wealthy nations where they don't have these conversations. Like the UAE and Dubai is not talking about like, oh, how much should we tax our wealthy people? How much should we charge them for access to education? How much should we, force them into bankruptcy for access to healthcare when they get cancer or break their legs? Like wealthy nations don't have these conversations. And I'm not even like doing a Canada-US thing. Canada's a piece of shit too. Like no wealthy nation with massive resources.
Your point is that wealthy nations should not have to face the government.
What I'm saying is wealthy nations with resources should have social safety nets and access to getting you out of poverty. That's all I'm saying is that wealthy nations shouldn't tax their people. They should have enough resources to generate wealth So they don't need to tax their people. They don't need to have conversations about whether their citizens should have access to education and healthcare.
Okay, I got breaking news, you guys. Breaking news. If you guys don't own a TV for whatever reason, you need to see what's going on between Trump and Xi. First Lady, you there?
I am.
This motherfucker, I'm sorry, you guys.
Is this on YouTube or anywhere else? I need to
For the cursing.
I'm sure that ought to be on YouTube.
Listen, President Xi, he ain't the one. Donald Trump doing all his circus acts, all his one-liners, all his, and he ain't cracked a smile. Do you hear me? He didn't even bother looking at him in his face. Donald Trump has met his match. He in there trying to do that dance he did yesterday, flop. He in there trying to crack jokes, flop. He in there trying to pull his hand and make him look in his eye. President Xi looked over there, gave him the slight eye, turned right back, flop. All that, the greatest president of the world. She's like, and this is classic. And all the people around Xi. And you should see your fools on the other side. They looking like, God damn, this ain't all my usual stick ain't working. They looking like they scared to fucking death. Y'all should see this. This is
Wait,
good.
I'm trying to figure out why the Americans had, help me understand why the Americans had the headphones on.
So they have the headphones on.
Do they have a translator? Like, what's
Okay, but then tell me why Trump don't have it. He's sitting there looking like it's just
He has an earpiece
He has an earpiece.
Oh, okay.
You think he understands?
So you see G, just as G's kind of posture all the time, he doesn't really, he looks straight ahead a lot of times.
No,
No.
So when they had that conference back in July with India, he was smiling, holding, shaking hands. Remember, they were talking about India and China being friends again. He was smiling.
You can see that when he went back with North Korea and
He is not taking none of Donald Trump's shit. He does not have to kiss his ass, and the atmosphere is 100% different than it was just
we're in a trade war right now.
Great today either. Biden is not last negotiator where we thought that we had fucking reached an agreement. That motherfucker went back to China and was fired.
Yeah, I remember that, right? Came back to China and her ass was done.
You're dismissed.
Yes.
And what he said to the Chinese people, he said, we do not back.
Right. He said we was something. He said something about poison or something. Remember that quote he said? Something about I don't know what it was. I have to go pull it up. That they rather eat poison or something like that. This man ain't playing talking about that's the way he always looked. Not even the way he always looked. You go to the very beginning when they had to walk out and shake hands. He was like, he looked at President Trump like he smelled. His nose went up a little bit in the air. He's like, Don't ever like let me tell you something, Omari, and really seriously. I'm not the one. I don't need to build attention. I don't need attention. As a matter of fact, I got too much attention on this app. I don't need that. I'm telling you what I see. If you don't like it, just say I don't like it. But other than that, I don't need to try to get anybody's attention. I'm telling you what's going on. If you don't like the way I'm my descriptive, the way I'm being, turn on CNN and watch it yourself. I'm just trying to provide a service. Y'all niggas did that last night when I was trying to tell you about your president talking about he's running for a third term. I'm still not over that. I'm still a little salty about that, the way you were treating me and telling me I should be ashamed of myself of reporting something that came out his motherfucking mouth. So don't do that to me, and I'm still tender and salty about yesterday.
Women modded rooms on this app.
Steak now?
popular houses. We gotta say that. Like the women modded houses on this app, like Lisa and Patty's, like that's why what Lisa just said, you will never hear in a male dominant modded house on this app. And I'll land with that. I know that's controversial, but I just gotta put that.
You'll never hear what? Wait, what do you?
I got a question, guys. Do you guys know?
No, hold on, Caesar, before you ask your question.
Yeah, no problem, brother. Let me know when it's good to talk.
Thank you, sir. Jeremy, we'll never hear what in a male-dominant space, a male-modded space.
So what Lisa just said, what Lisa just said was saying, hey, like I don't need the attention. I don't come on here to be the big mic. I come here and mod these rooms to have good conversations. Right, and I think there's a lot of men on this app and a lot of men on the right who come in and just want to dominate and want to talk over people, want a big mic, and those rooms get smaller and smaller, and the biggest rooms on this app that I come into tend to be rooms like Patty's and Lisa's and First Ladies that have women modding the conversation. That's all.
And I love these spaces, which is why I'm here. But let me ask you this: have you been in IGB? Do you think that's why their space is so small?
Yeah, but I think IGB too. Even with Lou, he has a lot of women that help run his spaces too.
But it's regarding male. He said a male can run the space, which is just completely refutes everything he just said. That's all I'm saying.
So I think he's
Gentlemen, I don't think we're trying to be controversial. I was just saying that.
and a lot of men, he's talking about they come in this room and Patty's room. They tend to want the big mic. They want to be heard, they want to be seen, and then they want to disrespect you at the same time. But you got me all the way messed up because you would be my employee in the real world, not the other way around. I would be your boss. And I would handle you totally different than the way. No, there's no way in where my stature, where I am. This man right here was my employee. So he's trying to treat me like it's opposite, but I guarantee you that would not ever be the case.
Big facts.
I think a lot of I think some of the guys come on here to make up for what maybe they don't have, like the power they don't carry in the real world. They try to impose their power or impose their field here. I think there's some of that. I think there's people also that come on here that legitimately like to have the conversation and are here for the conversation. I think it's a combination of both.
Gentlemen, just to be clear.
I think it's a lot of males that come on here with problems at home. They be trying to run us over like we fucking animal.
And when Lisa was explaining what she was seeing, his first thing was, oh, that's the way he always looks. And then when Patty started explaining, no, that's not what happened when he was meeting with the Indian Prime Minister and all that, then it's what, well, it's because they're trading. So no matter what, Omar will find something to say to Kate for this man. He will just make up shit and continue to say shit to Kate for
Remember how they were talking about they were whispering in each other's ear and shit? And he was just like, they was whispering in each other.
Hold on, break that down. Who was whispering in who ear? Like what?
Indian Prime Minister, Putin, freaking Xi Jinping. They were fucking, and he was happy. He got to talk with India. They haven't seen each other in 10 years. They've been beefing. But he not fucking with Trump, for real. Trump is fucking disrespectful. He's a clown. I mean, the executive producer, what she played yesterday, motherfucker said he's not serious in real life. He's a fucking clown.
Facts. Yeah, but Trump shit to me, Patty, wasn't so much about Hollywood, right? It was his racism, the people he fucking attracted. Because if Trump ran as a regular New Yorker, they would have said, like, don't vote for him, he's a city slicker type shit. You know what I'm saying?
You're right. He appeals to the redneck Midwestern trash. Somehow, even though he's a classist and doesn't really align his policy with anything that benefits them, he's appealed to them in a way that, like, fuck it, you don't see that sign but
exactly. And on top of that shit, right? Oh, they also look at him, and not only just the dumb ones, even the educated ones, look at him like, well, he's saying stuff we can't say. He bring white, male pride back to what the fuck it should be.
Yeah.
Remember, white males being discriminated against.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? They're the ones who get fucked by
that was the whole purpose of removing DEI. That was the whole principle behind it.
Yep.
And they like
this
to
is
watch
against whites. This is not benefiting whites. This is hindering whites. The white man deserves this job, and they're giving it to unqualified African Americans. Can that nigga even fly a plane? Like that was the whole rhetoric.
And unfortunately, how many helicopter crashes have we had since then? Military related. A handful.
The hilarity is saying that, like, oh, we gotta reduce the number of DEI hires in airport, air traffic control, and yet the entire air traffic control system is working on a volunteer basis right now in America. Like, DEI is the least problem, the smallest problem that America's got facing him right now, and that's where America's at.
Jimmy, we got duct tape on the planes right now. It's like I'm being funny, but dude, it's ridiculous right now.
Okay, guys, I want you to hear this back and forth. And that is a question for did he leave?
No, he's still here.
Okay.
I know Caesar wants to give it. My bad, Caesar. I know you want to give it.
Go ahead, Caesar, before I do this. I'm sorry.
All right. Yeah, thank you, guys. Glad to be here. Now, I was just thinking about everything. I love to listen to different opinions and whatnot. I think it's ridiculous how they're taking it away from people that actually need it, I've always made my own money. I've always made good money. And, I suffered an injury, and I had to jump on food stamps. I have kids. Did I feel bad about it? A little bit, because as a man and a father, you don't feel right about it. But I can definitely tell you, during that time, I helped a lot of people out, because there's a lot of people doing worse than me. I don't think they should take it away, but I would hopefully say they should incentivize, because I do know that after 3 months or 6 months, they interview you again and see if you're applying for jobs or whatnot. What they should do is, this is my theory, incentivize them with getting jobs from these billionaires that we talk about that have a lot of jobs openings. They need to take some of those people in, train them, give them the proper training, and take those people in. They want tax cuts, no problem, but you got to bring all these people in. I think that's a win-win situation for everybody, because if they have so much complaint about, they're already making that much money, but at the same time, they're also creating jobs for a lot of people. But I really think if you mix both of those things together, it would work out better for everybody. Because I know that my food stamps every 3 months is getting lower and lower. I don't know what's gonna happen this month, but whatever it is, I'm gonna have to figure it out.
Hey, see, first off, I appreciate you bringing up that submission. I'm glad. I hope everything's working out for you. And the only thing I'll add to it is it's a good percentage of people that are on like SNAP benefits and other benefits that are working, and that are actually working. So it's not like
most people on staff are people that are just not working. And I think that is the narrative that's always pushed out there, is that people on these benefits are just people that are just kind of, chilling at home or for other reasons, which isn't the case. There's many, many people that are working and that are on staff. And it's because, unfortunately, for many reasons in America, these jobs aren't enough. I have to work 3, 4. How can you work 3, 4, 5 jobs to take care of your family when you need to be home to take care of your family? That sometimes is a narrative that's too often pushed. And I think we can't be naive. We've always talked in this country for years that the middle class is dissipating. That you're either going to be poor or rich. You're either going to fall into one of those two classes. And the thing is, that's being accelerated under Trump. So I don't think the talk of how can we limit the time you're on staff can happen when we don't talk about how we're gonna reboost the middle class so that people don't have to be. Because like I said, a lot of people are working and are on staff, so the job they're already at the work. So how are we gonna provide more jobs where people can get off the staff benefits, so they can actually get jobs that pay, a living wage in a wage that is enough to take care of a family. Those are the questions. So so a lot of people unfortunately are working has to stay on staff. And I don't get too much long with it, but yeah.
I agree 100%.
And I've heard just the opposite. 2 days in a row, I've heard that college graduates, particularly in the tech field, are struggling to find jobs because of what we said 6 months ago, AI. These businesses, these corporations are using AI in place of filling positions. I've heard this 2 days in a row that college graduates have a hard time finding work. So those are educated people, and I'm not talking against those who haven't gone to college. I'm just saying it's getting more difficult to find employment. So I'm not sure, Caesar, what companies you're talking about who are doing all this hiring, but if you have some information that you'd like to share, because I believe everybody probably knows someone who is looking for work, and if you have information that you'd like to put in the chat or to say publicly, please do so, because what you're saying is not what I've heard.
Hold for just a second, because I can't keep this TV on hold for this length of time. It just start playing on its own. Let you guys listen to this clip so we can get it over with. It's Donald Trump and Xi. They're responding. They're giving you guys a breakdown of what happened. I will play the whole thing, but I just can't keep it paused like this because I'll lose it. So we can get back to the conversation. Put a pin in what you're getting ready to say. I think it was Haitian and another 2 people that came up here, Mike. Just put a pin in it for a second. Oh no, don't tell me I've lost it already. Come on. Dang it.
Go to YouTube, sis.
Wait, hold on, I got it. Poof, child. Alright, so press the speed. You better not. You carry out of the real. We just heard from President Trump and Chinese President Xi Jinping. The first time we've heard from Xi Jinping on this, and he called Trump he said he had a very warm feeling toward Trump. They are partners and friends. He wants the United States and China to be, and that's despite all of the back and forth. What did you make of that? And also, as you heard there, President Trump ignoring a question about actually social pills he just put up just moments ago, saying that we're going to start testing nuclear weapons again.
Well, I don't make so much up of it. It was just an exchange of niceties and polite nothings. But I mean, it's kind of interesting to see the dynamic here is very different, obviously, than, for example, in the White House, where he had President Zelensky in there a few weeks ago, and he basically conducted this massive press conference ahead of their meetings. and expounding on all sorts of issues, including U.S.-Ukraine relations. This is a much more tense meeting, much more consequential meeting, I think, from Trump's standpoint. And you see it as a meeting of equals because Xi Jinping is one of the few people that Trump cannot really bully. He feels like he cannot necessarily dictate what Xi does. And so I think both men are probably going in to some extent on their best behavior, but it's Trump
and flattery.
I mean, diplomacy is going to work on anything. At least going to work on anything.
Diplomacy is he was flattering, I mean, Trump said he called him very distinguished and respected. He called him a friend repeatedly.
It works on Trump. I don't think it's going to work on Xi Jinping.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's the question.
We've now gotten used to world leaders who have learned the lesson that the way to Trump's heart is through flattery, and it doesn't seem like here he's going to get a crown or a jet or
He's right.
I did note that he brought up Trump's contribution to the resolution of the dispute between Cambodia and Thailand about their border, and he said, but also we were involved. So, you know, I mean, look, we don't want to read too many tea leaves here, but clearly Xi Jinping is not reciprocating in the flattery here.
He did the same thing that everybody else did. He didn't say you deserve the Nobel Peace Prize, but he brought up Gaza. He's also flattering Trump. I have to push back on this idea that we got nothing out of the trade war. We've got $200 billion. Some of that paid for SNAP benefits all through October. So that money is actually going directly into the pockets of vulnerable Americans. Like to just say we got nothing out of it.
Americans are paying the cost of players.
Actually, yes. Let me play with the Federal League today. Listen.
Higher tariffs are pushing up prices in some categories of goods, resulting in higher overall inflation. A reasonable base case is that the effect on inflation will be relatively short-lived, a one-time shift in the price level. But it is also possible that the inflationary effects could instead be more persistent, and that is a risk to be assessed and managed.
Tariffs are contributing to inflation, and Trump redistributing wealth in this country from people who are paying for goods, which if you're paying for goods coming from China, they're usually lower priced goods. So you're talking about people who are working class or lower on the economic spectrum, to other parts of the economic system is just redistribution. That is all that it is.
The vast majority of the tariffs have been paid by American corporations and foreign importers.
Yeah, those are vast majority, right? I mean, I'm going to acknowledge
consumer prices are all less than 1%. You have $100 billion. That's
some of them 1%. Some have been paid by those corporations, but some are being borne by Americans, and even more so, the cost of tariffs, which is by some estimates over $1 trillion to American companies, is rippling down on those companies. When you apply that to companies and they are making less money, guess what they're going to do? They're going to raise prices or lay off workers.
We keep hearing that, and it keeps not happening. What actually happens was that corporations raise prices by 15%.
Sure, but everyone's been saying lower interest rates, saying that the unemployment picture was
So with the pandemic, it was
very less. I mean, and there's clearly if there weren't an impact, then Trump wouldn't be over there. Well, I wouldn't be over there trying to stop this trade war because the trade war he knows cannot continue like this forever.
I mean, to say that he's over stopping it is acting like this wasn't something that he, when we started the tariffs, and that's what he ran on, to bring back manufacturing, to put American workers first. Now, I don't think anyone at this table or anyone else can say, oh, I know exactly how to do that without any tariff or cost rising or anything like that. It's a long process. Looking at that table of everyone who's sitting there, I can't think of anyone else who would rather be sitting there than Trump, Secretary Rubio, Secretary Besson. I mean, that's a really smart table, and that is why the soybean farmers who, yes, they have been going through a tough time now, will run through a brick wall for the president because they see him, they're fighting for him. And if you just have a less coke, it's not
That's the reason why
they are working on business. What do you mean they're going to run through a brick wall? What do you think they're going to run through a brick wall? They are literally saying
saying that we are not going to be able to sustain getting zero. And when he comes out of the meeting today, this morning, with the deal fixed with a better deal.
This is like the arsonist thing. I'm gonna put out the fire that is large.
This is very elementary to think that you can just walk into, a Chinese conference room and say, we need to, increase our production. You need to stop, taxing and do this. We have a slower process. It's elementary to just do blanket tariffs on every country, which he did, and he didn't. What else can we say? Let me finish. Why is he there then? Because he does not have a trade deal. He just got a trade deal with Japan and South Korea. And say, why is he there?
He doesn't have a trade deal.
You said it was elementary for us to think he would walk into a Chinese conference room and just say, what I'm saying is elementary on day one, put blanket tariffs out without a plan. How do you know that? And the Americans are here. Everybody, I'm sorry. I want you to thought about what you were saying about the frameworks that they announced this week.
Okay, I have to stop because this is good. I'll watch the rest of this later on myself, but this is Clubhouse on CNN.
Yeah, I love it. I love having fun.
Me too. I mean, this is the stuff right there. So I don't want to bore you guys. I'll go back and watch the whole thing myself. But the people she got at the table, of course, she got 2 MAGAs, and the rest are on the left. And Honey Chow, they taking her to task. Because why is Trump there if everything was working out? He there with his hat in his hand. And like they said, JJP, he's not the one. He said, his mindset is, I'm just as powerful as you are. I ain't giving you no gift, no plane, no crown, no flowers, no marching bands, nothing.
No chicken wings, french fries.
Y'all remember when they didn't make that deal, they were talking about how the CCP was going to suffer, and what he said was China first. Came with that China first policy where Chinese will buy from themselves first. Right?
That's right.
And he was not playing. Y'all keep playing with them fucking Asians. That motherfucker said this country will suffer. They won't get no food, and they will fucking work.
And we still have 1 billion citizens. So fuck you.
And they about to sell fucking electric vehicles to fucking Canada. Y'all keep fucking playing.
And guess what happened? What happened to the people at the Hyundai plant? Did they ever come back?
No. Great question. Actually, the South Korean president commented on that recently.
I'm
The South Korean
electric in Canada.
Somebody the South Korean president. Somebody picked
The South Korean
layoffs in the automotive.
Huh?
The layoffs over there in automotive today. But Amazon right now is 15,000 employees laid off, and they're expecting possibly to 30,000.
Yeah, we were talking about that yet.
Did y'all talk about Trump?
UPS too.
A lot of those.
So Trump directs the Pentagon to immediately start testing new nuclear weapons. He put that on his Truth Social.
On his Truth Social, yeah.
The irony with the South Korean workers. Here's the irony with the South Korean workers, and the South Korean president recently commented on this, right? Is that those South Korean workers, hundreds of them, they were arrested, handcuffed, sent to ICE facilities, and then deported along with their families. They were some of the only people in the world with the specialties they had, and they were there under a special program to help bring American manufacturing back to America, to build a Samsung manufacturing plant in America that did things that only these people knew how to do, and they were there literally to do those specialized things. And what the South Korean president said is that, hey, the reality is that after these highly wealthy, intelligent, educated people were handcuffed and sent to ICE facilities, most of them, even if we get guarantees from the U.S. that their safety and they'll be able to go back and teach Americans how to build these plants, most of them will not go back because they have PTSD and their families have suffered trauma.
So we fucked it up with this administration because I think they came on tourist visas because there's issues with their visas. and they were supposed to get it fixed because because of the batteries, and they were supposed to be here teaching Americans. American. They're supposed to go back to their country. We never fixed their visa issue, and that's how they ended up here illegally. Like,
the result is that manufacturing plant will be delayed and maybe never created, right? And Haitian, I'll respond to your point, is that, yeah, Amazon launched 3 different AI-powered robotic tools for their delivery and warehouses that will result in 30,000 less jobs. And I think what people don't realize is that when we look at the cost of humanoid robots coming out of China and AI, we're literally 1 or 2 years away from what happened in 1903 when petrol came out and the whale industry collapsed, which was the biggest financial industry in the world. And when horse maintenance was the biggest industry in the world, and then Ford came out with the car, and we are on the verge of that. And I don't say that in the negative way. I think we're going to make it, but I don't think people realize what's going to happen to the global economy when anyone with internet access can become a doctor, right? I own a tech company. I pay developers in Pakistan $1,500 a month, and they're better than any developer in America, and they don't have access to Harvard or anything. They just learn shit on the internet, and they're brilliant. And that's what people don't realize, is that things are changing. It's not, things are really going to change over the next couple of years.
Jeremy, I tell you too far with the internet doctor, but what I can share with you guys, I think that's a bit too far. But I'll let you go, baby cakes. But one thing I just heard was quite a...
I'm sorry, it's like a... Mine's very short. In very certain states.
Okay, so what I was just going to say real quickly, you guys, before I forget it. Did you guys hear about Elon Musk and his robot army? Nobody?
That's what I'm talking about.
What? Okay. Wow. What is
He's
this?
thinking about making a million robots for a robot army that he's going to be in charge of. Y'all ain't heard? Oh, shout out to billion. Find that.
He's trying to get 1 billion robots.
Was it a billion?
Awesome.
No. It's for a million.
I'm sure it's a billion. If you ask him, undisclosed, it's a billion. But he's talking about...
We'll go find it. I heard it this morning when he's waking up.
They're trying to get the same footprint as the initial global footprint sales for mobile phones, which are 4 billion by 2012. So they're trying to get before 2033, 1 to 2 billion robots.
Yeah, there's still jobs that's going to be available. You just gonna have to switch it up. Like for us in the military, they're talking about interacting. Like if you're a senior leader, they're trying to add to our courses some kind of fucking course from Vanderbilt that has to do with ChatGPT. They're trying to add prompt engineering for us. I know I'm supposed to take prompt engineering. I had to put my name in. I take prompt engineering next year, and then I've already did my PMCs. And then we got to do Microsoft Power BI. So it's crazy because they're saying, hey, you got to keep up with AI. And if you're a business major or you're in logistics, most of us that are in logistics and you're a senior, you got your MBA. If you got your MBA, your ass is fucking going to these damn that Vanderbilt class, and then that Microsoft BI certification class. They're not playing.
Who would want a person working on them that just got a license? I'm dead serious. Who would want somebody working on them that got their license on the internet? When on that paperwork, when they asked me what I want students in, no. I told them, I said, this is Medical City. I don't want no students. They gave me doctors. That dude said I didn't get my license on the internet. He was like, this is Medical City. We don't, so I wouldn't advise to just get a license on the internet and call yourself a doctor. No.
Yeah, if you want to take that private engineering course, you can do it, of course,
And they're making us do it as part of our, you know how we have to take 2 classes a year?
Yeah.
That's one of the classes, and they were full this year, and I had to put my name on the waiting list for the seats that were available on ATARS, and mine is next year. So it's like, it's a forced, something that has to be on SRB now.
It's the same thing as that, like the skilled experts, the human experts, like truck drivers, like you probably as expert in the military. Those are the skilled jobs that AI needs in order to oversee their nonsense. So you being forced to learn AI is saying, hey, we need experts like you to oversee this dumbass technology so that it can take your job. And the sad thing is that, like, when it comes to software developer, same thing. If you're a skilled software developer, you're overseeing AI code. You're not writing it anymore. But the shitty thing is that, like, what does that mean for the unskilled truckers, the unskilled military, the unskilled?
It's kind of weird because that's what enlisted has been fighting for the longest. Because we get special classes, like we go to PM, we go to product, what is it? We get our product management certifications. We have fucking sergeant majors that sit right next to us that may have 2 masters as well. They may have a master. They try to get into the strategic leadership classes with us. So like we have counterparts that have just as many degrees or classes, and they've been fighting for all these classes that we're actually currently giving. And you know they're also having conversations with Google so that Google can do the Google Essential classes for military. It's crazy. And guess who it's not hiring you for? Me, because I'm a fucking officer. It's not going to be funny listed.
And if you thought Google isn't part of the military industrial complex, or Palantir, or like exactly, Patty. Like AI is not like this thing that's separate from the military industrial complex. Like
even Walmart just put a lot of money in training their employees.
Yeah.
Billions of dollars for that initiative to train employees.
And Walmart even has a program with our government. That's just correct.
Oh yeah.
They have a whole program with our government, and guess what? There's certain classes you can go there for training with the industry and be all. Like if I wanted to, and I applied for TWI. Well, at this rank, I wouldn't be able to do Walmart, but at a certain rank, if I wanted to do some type of TWI with the industry, and I picked Amazon, Walmart, whatever they have available, or even offer Amazon, they would let me do